Hi everyone and welcome to PostMaven's Ninja Design Academy. My name is Ryan and I'm the Design Director for PostMaven. If you have any questions about what I cover in this course, or if you have any questions on design or photo type things, feel free to email me at ryan@postmaven.com and I'll get back to you guys as quickly as possible to answer your guys' questions. So course 1 is going to be working with photos, and we really feel that having good photos is really going to help your guys' ads stand out and really raise above the competition and just look as best as possible. And we always don't have the best photos to work with from the beginning. So this is just going to kind of show you how you can take photos that may not be the best quality to begin with and really try to get the best out of those photos, doing color adjustments, cropping and rotating, and just working with what we have. So one of the resources we're going to be working today is Pixlr, and Pixlr is an online photo editing program. It's pixlr.com, and I'll go ahead and switch over. So when you get to pixlr.com, this is what you're going to be arriving at, and we're going to be working with the advanced editor here. When you click on the advanced editor, it's going to open up the screen here. And I really love Pixlr. The service is amazing. I mean, I work with Photoshop every day, and this program is almost a near identical version of Photoshop that you can use for free, and it's over the browser. So I've saved some images to work with, and so we're going to go ahead and open those images. So let's start by opening an image here, and I'm going to select a file once it loads. So let's start with this kitchen image here. So before we start getting into some color corrections and stuff, let me just kind of go through some of the features of Pixlr. Over here on the left is the tool panel, and there's different tools here that you just click on and use. Really the main one you want to use is the arrow tool, which is called the move tool, and this is really to select elements and move them around on your work area. The next one would be the crop tool, which is just to the left of that. And those are the main ones that we're going to be using for this tutorial in this course. Now, over on the right here, we have layers. We'll get into that later. And then there's also a handy feature called history. History just records each step that you take. So if for some reason you mess up, you can back up in the history and kind of undo those changes that you've done. So this photo I have here is really just kind of a washed out photo, and there's too much light, there's not really much color. I can zoom in on this a little bit, and yeah, I mean overall just not really a very great quality image. So we can adjust the colors on this and really kind of get rid of that washed out look and bring out some more colors and just give it some more vibrancy. So we're going to do that by going into adjustment. It's in the top menu here in the black bar. Once we get into adjustment, we'll want to select levels. Now this is pulling up what they call a histogram, and really this is just the color information on the photo. And you can see on this entire left side there's no information here. That means basically that's just missing color from the photo. So what's really just important are these little 3 handles at the bottom. And this one on the left is black, so this is the darks of the photo, and as I drag this over you can see the photo get darker. So we'll drag that over, and the middle one is kind of the midtones of the photo, so if I drag this to the left you can see the photo kind of brighten up. And the far right, this is going to be like the whites and the really light colors of the photo. Now since this photo is already kind of washed out and there's this window shining light here, I'm going to avoid using this high color adjustment because it's really just going to wash the photo out more. So I'm going to focus on bringing up the midtones and bringing in the dark tones, and that's really going to kind of give this image some more color. And you can go ahead and play around with this until you kind of get to where you think your image is looking good. I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to zoom back out. The zoom tool is down on the bottom of this tool palette over here, and if you double click on the magnifying glass it brings it back to the original size. So we're already looking a little better here, and this is the history. I'll go back to the original image and you can see how washed out it is. and I'll go back to my color adjustments, and you can already see how much better it looks. Now, if you look even a little bit closer, we can see that this image really has kind of a greenish bluish tint to it, and we can also get rid of that too, and we'll do that by using the levels again. Now, once we're inside of the levels, you'll notice that it has channels, and each photo has a red, green, and blue channel in the photo, and we can adjust each one of those colored layers to really kind of balance the color. And this image has too much blue, so I'm going to go into the blue channel, and you can see kind of here on the fridge, instead of being white, it's kind of a bluish green. So I'm going to drag this this dark handle over here over, and you can see it becomes a little less blue and it becomes more green, but that's okay. We'll adjust the green next. So I'll pull that in and I'll come over to the green and I'll do the same thing and kind of pull this in. Alright, and I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to zoom back out. Actually, I'll stay here. So now you can see, if I go back to the original, you can see how much kind of a greenish blue tint I've taken out. You can really see it here in the cabinets. So this color adjustment really kind of just brought more red in, and it did that just by taking some of the green and blues out of the image. Let me zoom back out, and so I'll show the first image here. We can see how washed out, and we'll go to the last step here, and you can see how much better that is. So now from here, what we can do is we can just save the image if we're happy with the corrections we've made, and I think this looks a lot better. So if you go under the File menu and go to Save, this is going to bring up the options for saving here, and we're going to save it to my computer, and you can name it whatever you like, and that's there. JPEG quality is what we're going to be using for uploading to the template, so we'll leave it as JPEG. And 80 quality is set by default, and I think that's a good size quality. So if we just hit OK, it's going to ask us where we want to save it. And I'm just going to save it back to the same folder. And I'll name it something differently so I don't overwrite the original file. So I'll just call it Kitchen 2 and hit Save. Kitchen 2 is already there. I'm going to replace it because I must have already saved that before. Okay, so that's kind of an overview of level adjustments. There are a few other, I've already saved this, so I'm going to click No. There are a few other different ways we can do this, or different scenarios. Let's take this garden photo, for example. So this was taken on a cloudy day, and you know, it looks like this garden could be really nice, except for the colors are just kind of washed out because there's no sun and it was cloudy. So we can do the same color adjustments we kind of did for the kitchen image and really kind of make this more appealing and give it some more color. So again, we're going to go to Adjustments and Levels. And we'll just start playing with the pulling in some of the darks. And I'm going to drag up the midtones. And on this one, I'm actually going to bring in the lights a little bit more. And I'm going to pull the darks in a little bit more. And you can already see that there's going to be some more color in the bushes and in the trees. You don't want to go too far, because sometimes when you go too far, your image ends up looking kind of fake and overdone. So it's kind of really trying to find that balance of looking real, but yet still having more color to it. So I'm going to hit OK, and let me switch back to the original image. So you can see how flat and gray that kind of is, and this is the adjustment afterwards. So I mean, that's kind of a night and day difference, and I think, you know, anyone viewing this photo is going to get kind of that nice, warm, colorful feel of, you know, your outdoor garden, of the backyard. Just makes it that much better. So again, you know, we can do the same thing. Go to File, Save, give it a name, leave it the default JPEG quality, hit OK, and save that. And so on to the next example. So sometimes photos we get are crooked, so maybe someone didn't take the photo at the right angle, or maybe you're just not happy with the angle that the image was taken from exactly. So we can rotate images and recrop them to whatever perspective or whatever angle we feel would work best. So looking at this image, you can see this roof line here is at an angle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this background and we're going to actually rotate it a little bit, and then we're going to crop it so that everything's more straight. Now when you open images into Pixlr, it's going to come in as a background layer, and as you see here on the background layer there's a little lock icon, and that means that the image is locked, so you can't really transform it or rotate it. But what we do to fix that is we just double click on the lock button, and now you can see it becomes layer 0 instead of background, and there's a little checkbox here, and that just means that now this is a layer that can be edited. So let me zoom back out, and I'm actually going to take this down to maybe about 50%, and you can do that down in the left hand corner. There's a percentage, and this is how big your image is viewed. So once I zoomed out, we kind of have a little bit more area to work with around the outside of the image. Now we're going to go to transform, and transform means you can scale and rotate the image, and that's going to be under sorry about that, I thought I knew exactly where it was. It's going to be under, under edit, and then free transform. So that was under the edit menu and free transform. By selecting this, you're going to see some handles on the corners, and they're little blue squares. And if you click on one of the corners, you can really just kind of free transform it into different sizes and shapes. Now, one trick is if you want to scale this proportionately, is you want to hold down the shift button while you have the corner, and this is going to scale it proportionally, and that way you keep your image from being skewed. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to rotate the image, and when you hover your mouse over the corner handle, over outside of it a little bit, you can see your mouse will turn into like a semicircle with an arrow, and that means that you can rotate. So I'm just going to click on this corner with the rotate icon there, and I'm just going to kind of rotate this a little bit to the left. And once you're happy with that, then you can hit the return or enter button, and that's going to set the image transform and lock it down. Now you'll notice in the background here, zoom in a little bit, there's now this kind of checkerboard background. Now this is kind of a universal thing in image editing programs, just to show that the background's transparent, and so this is really just like the background of the document showing through. So now that we have this rotated, I'm going to go to the crop tool, which is in the tool menu here in the top left, and you just click on the image and drag and create a selection for where you want to crop it. And again, this works the same way as transforming. You can grab the corners and you can kind of adjust the crop and kind of get it to just where you like it, and I'll just pull it in, and then once again you hit return or enter to accept the crop. So now we can see that this line is a little bit straighter, and really just the perspective of the photo is a little bit more straight for the users to look at. And I'll open up the original image. You can see it's kind of skewed, and then after the transform and crop, we can see it's a little bit better. And again, we'll go to File, and we'll do the save, and then save it to wherever you like. From there, then you're ready to go, and you can just upload these photos into your templates. We really hope that these image adjustments, showing you kind of how to take a washed out image and make it look a little bit more saturated, to make it a little more colorful, maybe a little bit more bright, is going to help you out. And I do have one more image that I'll open up for you, and this is an example of one that's a little bit too dark. So let's pull this one up. The original image was the kitchen. That was the kind of washed out image, and by making that darker and that kind of brought out more colors. Now this is kind of the opposite. Now this one's too dark. You get into sort of problems here when you can see that there's the sunlight coming in through the window. That can kind of create issues along with this darkness. So, but let's go ahead and zoom in on this a little bit, and let's see if we can brighten this one up a little bit. So again, go to Adjustment and Levels, And you can see this histogram shows you where all the color is. So this is the light end again, and so you can see all the colors right here in the middle. So that's kind of a general idea of you can see where your colors are at. So as I go too far, you can see the sunlight here gets really washed out. Now that's kind of what you want to avoid. So it's kind of like trying to find the right balance. And again, I find using the mid-tone adjustment kind of helps bring the colors out without making it too bright, too washed out. And I'll drag the darks in to give it a little bit more color. And I'll bring this in. And I'll hit OK. So as I go back to the original image, you see how dark it is. And after the level adjustment, looks a lot more inviting, looks a lot more kind of colorful and just a little bit more well lit. So that's going to wrap it up for course 1. We really hope that this will help you guys out and getting some better photos, kind of working with the photos you have. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at ryan@postmaven.com. And we'll have some links listed here for you as well for the Pixlr. And yeah, that's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.